Welcome to Module 3. This module we're talking about career and how to get a career or advancing your career. So let's start with reviewing the lecture notes, read the textbook chapters. The discussion board check-in was really easy and simple. I wanted you to reach out to me in Teams. This kind of opens up communication for very quick questions. You can't write me a book when you are chatting with me on Teams, but it does leave it open and I can get back to you quicker because I do have the app on my phone and I don't always check my email 100% all the time. Just know that after 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I stop looking at it, and then obviously on the weekends, you're not going to be able to reach me, but I'll respond back to you first thing Monday morning. So we're going to discuss the career workshop content. We're going to gather material to start the job search. If you haven't thought about what jobs you want to do when you graduate, now's the time. This week, you should have a resume draft, job searches, cover letter draft, and interview and search results. It's due next Monday. Make an appointment with Career Services for the following week or as soon as possible, whenever you want to get that done. And then next week, revise your draft to the guest speaker lecture. I have that post. I'll show you where it is. I would advise not taking your first draft or the one you posted, but you can. I mean, it's good. And I know in my stuff that I say Career Services, I know at SAM it's Career Success Center. It's something like that. So forgive me for saying Career Services because I've been saying that for 8 years. But same thing, same place. Don't forget to take the module test. This is due on a Friday instead of a Monday. And then begin the final revision of your resume. And then start that negotiation letter. And that's due the 6th. Then next week, obviously, is midterms. That's where you're going to have to look at all the documents for module 1 through 3. If you have not done Google Sites yet, by all means, get in there and do Google Sites and upload those major documents that I want you to upload so that you're ahead of the game and staying on track. And then we're going to start module 4 right before spring break. Review the lecture notes, do the check-in, and then start your proposal. And you'll have as soon as you get back, you'll have sources and a memo due to me. So keep that in mind as we move into spring break. Okay, the lecture notes. Lecture notes are very simple this time. I actually go through and explain what you're supposed to do in this module from part 1, which is the first part of the assignment, that unpolished resume, the job postings, the cover letter draft, the interview and skills, what to do, how to turn them in. Make sure to copy and paste everything. I don't care how long it is. You can put it all in one document. Just make sure that you have headings for each one. And then part 2, again, this is where, and forget that UHCL comment there, but this is where you'll make your appointment. You can do a Zoom appointment. You do not have to come face-to-face. They have, I think, times for virtual appointments with Career Success Center. I'll get used to saying that. I would do it more than once depending on what your draft of your resume looks like. Again, you can watch the video more than once and help go through. And I put all the material that Mr. Crocker and I would give our classes. And that really gives you a good get into this and get going. Whereas a Jobs for Hawks, it's Handshake here. Jobs for Hawks is really Handshake, but they renamed it. And I'll go in and fix these lecture notes for you, so it's more geared towards SAM than UHCL. Sorry about that. And then the extra materials folder, there's a lot of information in the extra materials folder, and it is really good stuff and stuff that you need to know. So for me, I would just save all these documents into a folder on your computer so that you have them for reference when you actually really get in and start going on interviews and having to do your resume and work with that. And then the final part is completing that revised resume, making it look professional and perfect, and then start that negotiation letter. and then I'll get into that. So obviously the more you put in, the more you're going to get out, and the more prepared you're going to be when it's time to start doing a really official job search for a career that you want. So, job listing example, I really want to go over this with you because I found this job listing, and this is exactly what you should do when you find your 3 job searches, or 3 or more. It's up to you. But this is one I came across. I copy and pasted the whole entire thing because guess what? It's not available anymore. They closed the position. It was open for 4 days. They had 127 applicants. So you're up against quite a few different people. These are the job duties. When you submit your resume, 9 times out of 10, it goes through a computer, and it's an applicant tracking system, I think is what they call it. And it scans for keywords, where your keywords come out of these job duties. And unfortunately, unlike the past where you could have one resume fits all, you can't have one resume fits all at this point. You have to gear each resume towards that specific job because these computers look for these keywords that are in the job posting. So you have to make sure these keywords actually are there, and it will pick them up and give you a chance to be one of the few that actually gets the interview. Because out of 127 applicants, they probably will interview 6 to 8. And that's it. So 120 people are not going to get an interview with this job. Are you going to be one of the 6 to 8 that might? And so to give yourself a fighting chance, you have to really work with these key phrases, really say, how do you do this? And show it in your resume. So summary, again, it's what you do. Requirements, you have to meet these requirements. If you don't meet these requirements, it's automatically disqualifying. But the reason I posted this one is because this is the first time I've ever seen this word in a job listing, but it is here. And for those of you that have heard about plagiarism since you started college, well, this is why plagiarism and what we stress in English classes is so important to understand. Is because it's not just in a classroom, it's not just at college, it is in the real world, in the workforce. And here at NASA, they want you to write a detailed narrative description in your own words of how to meet the required specialized experience. Experience statements copied from position description or vacancy announcement or any other reference material constitutes plagiarism. You cannot copy and paste this paragraph. They want you to write and explain how you fit the position. And if they consider it's plagiarized, they will disqualify you immediately. And I can tell you from experience, and because I've worked at UHCL, which is right next to NASA, we have a lot of students from that university go into NASA, into internships and everything else. Once you get tagged for plagiarism at NASA, you will never ever get a position at NASA. They red flag your name, and anytime you try to submit anything, it goes straight into the no box. So keep that in mind, that when you're really writing your resume and your statements, you can't copy and paste and plagiarize. It has to be you because you are marketing yourself. So here's an example of how plagiarism works outside of the classroom and outside of the university. And then at the end, make an appointment with the Career Students or Career Success Center. Here's their website. You have to log in, I believe, and make an appointment. So moving right along, the check-in is there. By all means, jump in. It's simple to do. Extra materials folder. I have a CV versus a resume so that you know the difference between the two of them, because you've heard the term CV. What is it and how does it work? And then a resume. Interview and tips. How to do an interview. How to ace a video interview, since a lot of interviews are by Zoom. How do you ace one? Then Elon Musk, I know you know that name. He has this simple interview question, and he knows whether an applicant is lying or not. And of course, again, most people would be nervous if they had to interview with Elon Musk. Why and how to negotiate your salary is a thing. How to write dates correctly. For some reason, dates are being written incorrectly all the time, and it's becoming mainstream, and it's incorrect. And I laugh at it because it is incorrect. But get in here and learn how to write your dates. Block letter formatting tips you'll use for how to write your letters out, cover letter and your negotiation letter. Tips on writing cover letters. Interview Q&A during a pandemic. This was, obviously a thing 3 years ago. Still is now. It's still, you can learn from this. So by all means, I would get into this and look at it. And then personality type and jobs that match. So a really good little website link. Get on there and see what personality type you have. All right, so moving right along, here are resume draft instructions. You can put all 4 of these on one document, but make sure that you have headings. This is my resume draft. This is my job search. And then job number 1 is a subheading. Job number 2, job number 3. Bold them, color them so that I can distinguish between them. Cover letter instructions, again, heading, and then make sure that it looks the way it's supposed to look and it's formatted correctly. And then instructions for gathering interview tips. You should have 3 website articles that you find about interviewing. Put interviewing tip number 1 and then copy and paste the interview. Again, it could be long. This could be a 20-page document. It's fine by me. Keep it all together. If you want to keep your resume draft and your cover letter separate documents, by all means do that. I am assuming with Blackboard Ultra that you can attach 3 documents instead of just 1, but that's my assumption. And honestly, I would like to try it out to see if it still is the case on this part, but you do have 2 attempts, I believe, for this. So even if it messes up, you can go ahead and attempt number 2 and add your stuff. Here's the actual assignment. Because I can't make it red in Ultra, I actually put assignment so you know that the assignment is there. Here is the test that is due. Resume workshop. This is the actual video. By all means, I asked Chuck Crocker if I could use this video. He was absolutely, of course. Little history about Mr. Crocker. He is our director of the Career Service Center at UHCL. Him and I have obviously worked together for 8 years on getting students ready to leave the university and get jobs. Very impressed with him because he goes out into the community out here in Houston and talks to employers and asks them what they want and asks them what they want to see on a resume and how they want the resume structured. And so he has developed a resume that is professional looking, has key content on it on how to set stuff up. And that is probably one of the most important things is how do you set it up? How do you make it look professional? What should you list first? And he goes into all of that. I have posted his resume write-in tips and more right here. By all means, download this. He talks about the different types. And here's an example, and I do want your resume set up this way where you have your name, address, phone number, and email. If you want to put your LinkedIn account, by all means, put your LinkedIn account. Your address could be just your city and state. It does not have to be your full address. Okay, education, because if you're changing fields and you're getting something in science-related field or criminal justice, be sure to list this. Relevant coursework. This is really for your field. So if you were a chemistry major, organic chemistry, biochem classes, whatever you see fit to put in there, that is relevant to what your job is going to have. Relevant experience. There is a difference between relevant experience and additional experience. Relevant experience is if you have tutored at the school for chemistry. If you've had an internship, if you've had a job that actually is relevant to what you want to do, then you put it here. Selected presentations and projects. We'll get more into that. By all means, think about these projects you've done. I know if you're an engineering major, you've done projects. List those projects and what they are. But again, make sure you keep it short and sweet. I would say 1 to 2 bullets underneath it to explain what it is and leave it at that. Because in the interview, they can ask you to talk about your projects, but you want to let them know on the resume. And then professional affiliations, what have you done at school? And when I say at school, I'm only talking Sam Houston. I am not talking high school. Anything with high school needs to be off of your resume. Community service, if you've done something with community service for the last couple of years, you've been at Sam Houston. Again, not anything in high school. For those of you that would apply to, some of us, it's been a long time since we've been in high school, and we don't even think about it. But yeah, high school is irrelevant at this point. I want to know what you have done while you've attended this university. Awards and scholarships, and then skills. And these skills are computer skills, and when we say software, you have to list out what Microsoft programs you know how to do. You cannot put just Microsoft Office. If you put Microsoft Office, then you know how to use Publisher and Access and everything else that comes in that suite. And if you don't know how to use those, then don't put them on there. And then languages. List languages and your level of proficiency, whether you can read and write, what level. Do not list English. English is a given. Just list, okay, I'm fluent in Vietnamese, I am fluent in Spanish, I am fluent in French, and what is your proficiency in those languages that you speak besides English. Action verbs, again, these are all past tense. They will help you fill out the bullets because you cannot write incomplete sentences with your resume. Make sure that your very current job, the one that you have right now, these are present tense versus past tense. And then here's an example. If you're in any kind of computer or you're in lab for a degree program, make sure you list your skills up top. Lab skills, what have you done in the lab if you're science? And then software, what have you done if you're a computer science major or IT major? Education goes next because, again, that's why you're here. I advise students not to put GPA on their resume. It's none of anybody's business. Even if it's a 4.0, it's still not their business. If they ask for it, then you can give that to them. But as for the most part, if you have a 4.0, usually you're in the National Honor Society. That speaks for itself. You put that under your affiliations. You're part of that group. But don't put your GPA, and if it's under a 3.5, you're not supposed to list it anyhow. So keep that in mind. Chemistry experience goes next, additional experience. So here's chemistry tutor, an internship, and then a cashier, because you need to list those jobs that you've had outside of what your field's going to be. This is all customer service, so that you want to see that. And then if you've done any volunteer work. Then the next one is technical skills. If you're an IT major or have these computer skills, by all means, put them on there. A lot of this stuff here also comes from job duties and what they're requiring you to have. So some of these are keywords that are going to get scanned right away. Same with chemistry labs and biology labs and forensic labs. All of that stuff, they scan it. So here's an example of Bachelor of Science, Computer Engineering, and relevant coursework. It actually shows relevant coursework. And if you're in the Dean's List. So why would you need to list your GPA if you're on the Dean's List for 3 semesters? Just list it. It speaks for itself. If you have an Associates of Science degree, by all means, put that on there. And then projects, and then your experience. I would highly recommend you keep it to 1 page. So make sure it's short, sweet, to the point. You say what you need to say and run with that 1 page. If it is 2 pages, make sure that whatever's on the second page is extra material that if they don't ever look at it, it's not going to make any difference whether you get the job or not. Here's cover letter, how it's set up, what you should put in each paragraph, how to write it. And here's an example. And then interview and tips. Also on here, what they ask in an interview. If you've not done interviews, make sure you go do mock interviews and practice so that you know what kind of questions are going to be asked. All right, and moving right along, I also included the PowerPoint that he goes through. So I want you to understand that employers look at your resume for 15 seconds. So you have to make the biggest bang in 15 seconds that you possibly can. You have to make everything look professional. You have to keep to the font, no wild font. I would tell you not to use any color whatsoever and no pictures, obviously, because when it's an applicant tracking system, it doesn't pick up columns, color, or pictures. So you can't have any of that. Sorry guys, you cannot be fancy. It has to be straightforward and really kind of boring looking, but it does sell you. But keep it to one page if at all possible. And then virtual, if you are doing virtual interviews, this is what to do and how to look at it. And then what employers look for. Ability to work in a team. That's why I spent a whole entire module on how to work on a team, because 81% of employers want people to be able to work on a team. And if your team failed, why did it fail? Problem solving skills. Again, that was, if you complain about something to me, did you give me a solution on how to fix it? Analytical, quantitative skills, communication skills, verbal and written, initiative, leadership, technical skills, flexibility, strong work ethic, computer skills is down towards the middle, not up at the top. Interpersonal skills, can you talk to people and relate to them? Detail-oriented, creative, strategic planning skills, tactfulness, fluent in a foreign language is all the way at the bottom, 3.4%. It's great that you have it. It's not necessary. And if we need somebody that's bilingual, it's probably one or two jobs, not all of them. So keep that in mind. This is what they look for. And this is something that's been researched time and time again. What are employers needed? So that's the job workshop that I want you to do. I would take your draft after you post it in the assignment, take your draft, go through that video with them, format it the way I want you to format it, start filling it out a little bit geared towards what you've done here at SAM, and then take it into your appointment with the advisor. Then complete the final copy of the resume, get into the negotiation letter instructions. This is how I grade the resume and negotiation letter, and then turn those two things in. And then we'll start Module 4. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me using Teams now, or send me an email. And remember, messages show up, but they don't show up exactly as quickly as I would like them to. But I do respond to messages when I get into Blackboard, and I'm usually in Blackboard every day. So have fun with this module. Good luck. Ask questions, reach out to people, talk to people in your field, find out what's going on. This is your time to do your research. You have 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks to get it completely up and going. Have a great week.